It's only a few days and then I will be leaving for a trip to Italy. I had some worries about getting a right stack of film. More about that later this video. So, like I said, in a few days I will take a trip to Italy, and of course when I'm in Italy I want to take street pictures there. Beauty of Italy is that it has lots of old cities, and of course those cities attract lots of tourists, and I'm one of them, but nevertheless you can take great street pictures there. Talking about great backdrops, you got great backdrops there, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a success. I will shoot mainly digital, but this time I thought well, a nice stack of film would be nice, because I sure want to shoot film there. So I went to my favorite store, and a link to that store can be found in the caption below. And I did some shopping. I have to be careful in that shop because it's like a candy store. I mean, film, darkroom equipment, yeah, all these nice things you just want to have, and I'm sure I don't have need for it, but yeah, I have to be careful there. So I wanted to have film, black and white, and my favorite film is Vomapan. Why is it my favorite? It is the cheapest, and it is easy to develop, and though people say you cannot push that film, it's easy to push that film. And if you're using stand development, it's pretty nice film. I like the details in the darks and in the light when I use stand development. I got a little bit nervous because this camera is always focusing and it makes noise, and I don't like it. But okay, Vomapan is my favorite film. I'm Dutch and that film is cheap, so perfect match. But this time I thought it would be nice to experiment a little bit with color negatives as well. And I'm not very fond of buying color film because it's almost impossible for me to develop color film. Problem with color development is you have to do the entire process at a rather high temperature, like 33 degrees Celsius, and you have to keep that temperature pretty constant during the entire process. Apart from that, you need other and more chemicals than for black and white development. So yeah, I'm not very eager to try it myself, although I'd like to do it. I wish it was a little bit easier. Now I'm saying this, I think maybe I should start a quest in finding an easy way to develop color film. So I think the next project is coming up, but I'll keep you informed on that one. So back to the story. I want to shoot some color film as well, so I bought some color film, and yeah, then I was in doubt which camera or which cameras I would take with me to Italy. I mean, it's all extra weight, and yeah, I'm not sure yet. Only thing I know is I want a 35mm camera and I want a medium format camera. Most likely I will take the Canon A1 and the Canonet 28. That's 35mm, and I will take the Yashica, I think. I could take the Bronica as well, but yeah, that thing is a nice camera, but it's a tank, and Yashica is weighs less, and it has a very nice square format, so I think I will go for the Yashica. So I bought this amount of film, and yeah, the look of it is nice. Like I said, it's just like a candy shop. Yeah, I received it a few days ago, and I couldn't hold myself, and yeah, I decided to take 2 rolls of foam today and shoot some film. So the Canonet 28, it was a very popular camera in the 1970s. It was one of the last cameras that was a heavyweight rangefinder camera. After the period this one was built, so the end 1970s, early 1980s, companies started to use more plastic and less metal. This one weighs a little more than half of a kilo, so it's pretty heavy, but I really like this camera. I mean, it's a viewfinder. It has a viewfinder, of course. It's a rangefinder, I mean. You need some training to use a rangefinder. Focusing is different than focusing with an SLR, but yeah, it's nice, and I just like the sound of it. Let me show you. I mean, for street photography, this is, yeah, you would almost say it could turn me on. It's a nice little camera, makes almost no noise. You can be very stealthy with this camera. It has an aperture priority mode, so it's perfectly fit for street photography. Only thing is, you have to watch out because the shutter speeds, and let me, yeah, no, warning for the shutter speed is for the other camera I have here. ISO range from 25 to 400, and it's mostly this camera I use when I decide to use stand development. It's easy to switch to another ISO. Let me explain this a little bit more to you. If there is not enough light, then the camera will block. It's not possible to take a picture. But it's easy to turn this switch to a higher ISO, and then you can take a shot. The moment you decide to do so, you commit to stand development, because some of the pictures are taken at ISO 100 and some others are taken at ISO 400. The only way to get that right in development is to use stand development. So most likely that the roll I will put in this one is being developed with stand development. Saying that, I'm very lazy, as you might know, and I'm Dutch, so I don't want to spend too much money. Of the 35mm rolls, there fit 2 in the Patterson tank, so the other one that is joining this one in the Patterson tank will be developed in stand development as well. So, having said that, I will go to the other camera, and that would be this one. That's the Olympus Trip 35. This is a very nice small camera, weighs less than the Canonet 28. It's a rangefinder as no, it's not a rangefinder. You have a viewfinder, as you can see, and that's only used for framing the image. Focusing is done by sonar focusing, so you have to estimate the distance between you and the subject, dial in and take a picture. Talking about nice noise, this sound, I just love it. This one will has an aperture priority as well, and here comes the warning. This camera has two shutter speeds, 1/40th of a second and 1/200th of a second, and depending of the available amount of light, the camera will decide to take the slow or the fast shutter speed. So, as a matter of fact, you never know which shutter speed is chosen by the camera. So, to be safe, you have to hold your camera still. It has a nice 14mm lens, I think. Let me check. And I'm blind, so it takes time. Yeah, 14mm and f2.8. That goes for the Canonet as well, I think. Yeah, it's 40mm as well and an f2.8. Yeah. It is important to hold this camera still. I know from this camera, I shot only one roll until now with this camera, but I know it has some light leakage from the top of the back and from the bottom, mostly from the bottom if I'm correct. Yeah, in these images from the former roll, you can see that there has been some light leakage. As a matter of fact, I'm having some second thoughts here. Could possibly be that I made some mistakes in development, but nevertheless, after putting a roll in this one, I will make sure that I tape the bottom and top of the back. And I will do the same with the Canonet just to be sure. If you have cameras like these, it can be, it is very good possible that there are light leakages. You have to understand that with a camera of 40, 50 years old, chances are that people have dropped them, and that the back doesn't fit that nice anymore, and it can be just a little amount. I mean, if you look at the back of this camera, you cannot see any difference, but and it doesn't wobble or whatever, but still I'm not taking any chance here, and I will tape it. This camera was also built in the 1970s, and I think it's a little bit older than the Canonet. I think in the late 60s this one was introduced, and in fact there are two versions. One is the full metal one with the metal shutter release, like this one, and after this series Olympus put more plastic in the camera and had a plastic shutter button. and that is after the 5 series, meaning there is a serial number here, and this one is starting with a 2, and it's 2 million. Yeah, it's 2 million, and after 5.5 million, I think, the company used more plastic in fabricating this camera. ISO setting is in the foremost ring of the lens, and this one is pretty tricky. You will turn this ring for focusing, and it's very likely to happen that you turn the ring for ISO as well. And yeah, now sitting here in the studio, it's obvious that it's you can hear and you can feel the click of the ring. But when you're on the streets with all the noise, you cannot hear it. Of course you can feel it, but yeah, in the stress of the moment, I don't think you will be able to notice that you turned the ISO settings. So apart from being Dutch, it's very likely that it's the only good way to do and have stand development for a roll of this one as well. So decision is made. After shooting these 2 cameras today here in Amsterdam, I will use stand development for developing the negatives, to make sure that I will have the correct amount of details in dark and bright areas of the pictures. I hope to make some more. I hope to make some nice pictures today, and if possible, I will try to film a part of this walk as well, but I'm not sure if that's going to succeed. Having said that, I tried a few times to film street walks, and you probably saw a few of them, and I find it rather difficult. It's not it's strange to film in the streets of Amsterdam. I mean, I couldn't care less. Everybody is taking images and filming and whatever, but my focus will be on taking images to watch the street, and yeah, looking out for nice pictures, for nice scenes. I'm just being a guy. I'm not able to do 2 things at a time. So on the other hand, my lovely assistant will join me this afternoon. Maybe she wants to do some video, and if so, then yeah, then in the next few minutes or in the next video you will see some results of my photo walk. So this was a very loose video, meaning not telling you very much, except for the fact that I bought some film for Italy. Boy, I do look forward to that trip. Yeah, really want to shoot in the cities of Italy, and I think I will do some landscapes as well, especially with the medium format camera. It would be a very good idea. Yeah, and I discussed some cameras in short. Okay, that's about it. Hope to see you next time. Bye.